Hey Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Welcome to the round 14 match preview. It's a big one. It's an early one because we're back on primetime football Friday night, 7:40 at the Gabba. The Gabba, Brisbane Lions, St Kilda. And it's a big game. It's a big game. On the ladder, it speaks for itself, but Brisbane are only 2 points ahead of us. They're on 22 points. We are on 20. They've got the draw. So this is a huge, huge game. Brisbane found some form last week. They just took the Bulldogs to the cleaners. It was the first time all season that the Brisbane Lions really looked like the 2023 grand finalist Brisbane Lions, it doesn't bode well for us, but we've got 2 wins from 2 in the last couple of weeks, most notably against the Gold Coast Suns in a very, very dour, contested game. We're going to need to be at our defensive best in this game. That is a given. There is no way we go to the Gabba and get the chocolates if we don't play strong defensive football. But on the flip side, I don't think we can win if we don't try and take the game on more than what we've tried to do. So last week, we did have 56 inside 50s. We won the midfield battle, which was really, really critical because the Gold Coast Suns are littered with quite a few decent midfielders. The same can be said for Brisbane. Obviously, they've got Josh Dunkley, Lockie Neal, McCluggage, Berry, McInerney in the ruck, who's been really good. Zach Bailey rolls through there. They've got some Cam Rayner goes through the midfield. They've got a high rotation midfield. And obviously last week, Eric Hipwood, 20 disposals and 6 goals was just enormous. Charlie Cameron, that's always a big matchup for us. So you'd imagine Jimmy Webster. No Dougal Howard, which hurts. So Zane Cordy to Hipwood or Danaher, you'd say. And then Wilkie and Battle to rotate on the other tall. And the big matchup, I think, is Winhager tagging Lockie Neal. He's done it before. He did it a couple of years ago, and he did a very, very good job. I think he might have gotten the Rising Star for that game. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he tagged Lockie Neal and kept him to, I think, the low teens or even less, while he got quite a few touches as well. And then, obviously, Harris Andrews, Max King. So there's a few key matchups across the ground that are going to be really, really important. But at the end of the day, we need to score. We need to kick goals. Brisbane at the Gabba, even when they're not playing well, that's still probably a 10 to 13 goal game for Brisbane. When they're up and about, that's 15 goals. That's 100 points plus almost every time they win at the Gabba. So if we can keep them to, if it's half time and they're in the 30s to 40s, we're doing okay and we're possibly in with a chance. I don't think Brisbane are as good as they were last year. I think, they played very well last week, but, with the body of work throughout the season, you'd say that they've been as disappointing, if not more disappointing than us, based on the expectation, based on how good their last couple of seasons have been, based on the fact they got one of the biggest home ground advantages in the competition, and they've dropped a few games at the Gabba. So they've lost games at the Gabba already. And it's teams that are willing to get in their face, teams that are willing to make them feel uncomfortable and not let them dictate play. To me, Brisbane are very, very good and very comfortable when you just let them do what they want to do. I dare say they are, sometimes to me, they can be downhill skiers. They do like to just rip a average team apart and look amazing. And then when, the real heat comes on them, they kind of crack a little bit. That's been the case this year for me. They beat the teams they should most of the time. Their percentage is pretty strong because of that. They've had a few big wins, but they've also had some disappointing losses in there. Same can be said for us. We've been pretty damn average for most of the season. But we still find ourselves only 2 games out of the 8 and a big, big opportunity here. Talk about statement game. Friday night at the Gabba. It doesn't get much more of a statement game than this, really. If you want to go into the bye with some momentum, you want to go into the bye with some belief and then come back against Port at Marvel in a fortnight's time, this is the game where you throw the kitchen sink at it. Absolutely throw everything at it. And I know we've been disappointed with not playing Brad Crouch. But the more I think about it, the more I realise I'm glad he didn't play on the weekend against the Suns. Firstly, we got the job done without him, so that already justifies not playing him because we won the midfield battle pretty comfortably. We won clearances, contested ball, we had more scoring shots, more inside 50s. Midfield tick, but we need him against a midfield like Brisbane's. And he can go hammer and tongs, he can go full throttle in this one and then have a bye, get recovery in again, and then play Port. So instead of him coming in against the Suns and throwing his body around and being really, really sore on a short turnaround plus travel to Brisbane, in his first game back pretty much of the season, I think we've probably managed it better, maybe more conservatively than other clubs would, but it might actually work in our favour. If he comes in and he plays like we know Brad Crouch can play against a midfield like Brisbane's, with Steele finding form, Hunter Clark in there, Paddy Dow in there, Sinclair going through there, Owens going through there, Liam Henry going through there with Ron Marshall in the ruck, that's a really, really strong midfield. That's the strongest we've had all season. Not stronger than Brisbane's, obviously, like player for player, but as a rotation, as, offering variety. And it just raised a few question marks for Brisbane, because they do like to play off the mids. They don't defend as well as maybe other midfields. They're not as one-on-one. They do prefer to just kind of run off their man and get forward as quickly as possible. So if our turnover game is strong and they're getting forward and we're flicking it back the other way very, very quickly, which we're definitely capable of doing with Naz, with Sings, with Bonner, Brad Hill on one wing, Darcy Wilson, Mason Wood, then we'll find opportunities. We will get out the back, because they're going to play more attacking than they do away, because they're at home. They're in front of their home fans. It's Friday night. They want a big win, kick the weekend off nicely in Brisbane. They're going to be playing full all-out attack, I think, against us. They'll be very aware of the way we played against the Suns, obviously, because not only because of the scoreline and the fact that it's their crosstown rivals, but because it's been so heavily publicised. Everyone's talking about the way we flood and this and that. You look at the game on the surface and really Gold Coast were flooding as much as us. There was clear footage of that, of their entire forward line in our forward line. So I think they probably had a hand to play in that result, being the way it was. But because it's been so publicised, I think Brisbane will look at this and go, we're going to have to move the ball quick, because if we don't, they're going to get numbers back. It's going to be really, really difficult to penetrate, and it's going to make it even more difficult to score. So Brisbane, watch out, they're going to take the game on. But on the flip side, I think they might open up the game for us. And it's kind of that internal battle of, do we go and try and win a shootout? Do we try and play defensive and then just hit them on the break every opportunity they give us? What's the perfect balance? Because if we defend all day, the damn wall will break at some point. So we can't sit back and just let them hammer it in every time, because they've got players that are just going to take a mark, kick a goal, and we'll end up losing pretty comfortably. If we play all-out attack, we'll probably lose by a lot. So it's that fine balance of knowing when to go. And Liam Henry shared this in his interview last week of, knowing what gears to go to at what time, when we want to go fast and everyone being on the same wavelength, versus when we want to just sit back and defend a little bit, control the game, take the sting out of the game, which you don't see teams do much anymore. And this is a good opportunity to test that. There's going to be moments in this game where Brisbane have a lot of momentum. The crowd's going to be loud, up and about, singing and all that. That's where we want Cal Wilkie to take and Josh Battle to take a big mark, chip it around, slow the game down, and then hit a target inside 50 if we can. And then that takes the sting out of the game and kind of just reminds everyone in the crowd and Brisbane, we're not here to just be walked over. We're here to compete. And I think that's the number one thing going into this game, is just compete the shit out of this game. We need to tackle hard. We need to chase hard, get in their face, make them feel uncomfortable. There's so many examples of that this season, of teams doing that to Brisbane. There's no excuse for us not to do it. And I thought we had a little bit of mongrel last week. I thought we tackled really hard. Our pressure for 4 quarters was elite. It's just that finish going inside 50, and we can't be bombing it when there's Harris Andrews down there. They've got some really, really good rebounding players. Obviously, Dane Zorko's been in really, really good form. I mean, he's one of their oldest. Is he the oldest player on their list? But he's been killing it. Archie's been around. So, and they're smalls. So, they've got like Cameron, McCarthy, Rayner drifting forward. Obviously, Zach Bailey I'm a big fan of his. So we're going to have to look at, whether Jimmy Webster picks one of them up. Obviously, you've got Naz down there, Sinks, Bonner. Like, are they all capable of defending if they need to? I'm not sure. But it's an exciting opportunity. It's Friday night football. I know we don't do well on prime time. in games like this, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be really excited to go down. I've never been to Brisbane, never been to the Gabba, so this could bode well. It could be a good omen, the fact that I've never been. First time going, hopefully first win. And if we do, the season is back on and the lid is firmly... It could be off, honestly. If we beat Brisbane in Brisbane, Jesus. Get up and about, Saners. So let's believe, Saners. Let's not have this negative bullshit that we've had for the last 2 weeks. Even after the Gold Coast game, people complaining. Who gives a shit? We're here to support the boys. We're here to win. And do we all want to take the points at the Gabba? Absolutely we do. So get behind the boys. I don't want to hear that we're just going to get walked over. We may well get dominated. We don't know. Let's just see how we go. But the non-negotiable from a fan point of view is to get to the game if you can. Cheer the shit out of it. Wear your red, white and black proud. And if you're watching it anywhere else, just believe and support the boys. So I'll wrap it up on that note, Saners. Thank you very much for watching. Check out all the other videos on the channel as well. The teams will be out tomorrow night. Oppo view as well. And obviously my match review post-game. Big one Friday night. Can't wait to go. As always, Saners, go you mighty Saners. Let's get it done.